welcome to Boomer Bust NFL Fantasy Football Podcast. It's Thursday the 6th of October and we're coming into week 5 of the NFL season. Tonight I'm joined by the usual, Shug. How are you?
Not bad, mate. All good here. How are you?
I'm good. We're both 2-2 in the old fantasy league.
Back on track for me.
You are, and a wee step back for me. It's been a slog, but I've been trying to rebuild the team, but I'm sure we'll get there. I'm sure I'm going to get on it. I've got another rant coming. I feel like I'm coming on here and just ranting week after week.
Oh, you're always moaning.
Nah, not a chance. Not a chance. Right, but we'll get into it because we recorded on Monday night. Obviously, after Monday night, we had the Monday night game. So,
Yep.
Obviously, time difference and stuff. The Rams lost 9-24 to the 49ers. None of us predicted it. We were all saying the Rams on Monday.
No, and I was majorly sweating because Steve-O, who I was playing against, had Deebo Samuel, and he had a decent night at the office anyway, so it almost cost me the win in fantasy. But yeah, didn't see it coming. To be honest with you, the result.
Steve-O's got my favourite player in fantasy football. I just love Deebo Samuel. He's got everything, and he is, for me, he's just like my number one target in fantasy football. Obviously, there's a wee bit of tactical when it comes to drafting that, but I just love Big Deebo. 23.7 points he scored on Monday night, 7 targets, 6 receptions, and it was a huge 57-yard touchdown run. The guy's unbelievable.
Aye, as I said, had me sweating. If I was up, I'd have been sweating, that was, but caught up in the game in the morning, and he's a very good player. That's why I was worried. That's why I said on Monday my game anyway wasn't over.
If you were up, you would have been sweating. As if you've not just woke up out your bed to come and do this, then you'll go back to your bed, and then you'll get up at somewhere like 5 a.m.
Aye, very true. Too predictable.
I know, but once again, Mathew Stafford is just letting so many folk down in fantasy football now. He's probably going to sit in a lot of waivers. He's probably going to sit as a free agent in a lot of leagues because that's what I think he was. QB 29 for that week, QB 29 for week 3, QB 30 for week 2. It's not good enough for a guy of his standards with the targets he's got round about him.
As you said, there's loads of QBs you would pick before him right now. You wouldn't be relying on him. It's kind of, I think it's not the same, but like guys like Aaron Rodgers as well, you're sitting there like it's like quarterbacks that should be doing a lot better and more consistent for you, and you're sitting thinking, should I stick with them or should I twist? They might actually go on and hit form, but it's that stage of season where you really start to get frustrated with guys, isn't it? And you make that decision.
Yeah, week 5, coming into week 5, like that sort of waiver wire is a big week for picking up targets because we start to get to that stage where they're few and far between. People have picked the waiver wire to bits, and yeah, you're only picking up backups at this stage or after this stage now. It's at this point in the season, so we're starting to see patterns. But no, during that game, we'll touch on it as well. Not very fantasy relevant, but there was an animal rights activist ran on the pitch with a flare. Bobby Wagner trucked him, and now he's filed a police complaint in the grounds of assault.
Honestly, I just think if you run on a field, you deserve what's coming to you. Now, I don't want them to get seriously hurt, but you run on a pitch. These guys, with any sport, they see somebody running on a field. I think you can't really blame them for acting the way they do. They're in game mode. They don't know if it's a fan coming on to attack them. They don't know if it's their safety in danger. So it's a bit like the guy that jumped in the tanks at SeaWorld. What do you expect to happen?
Telecom, come eat you and I wanna.
Aye. So,
man, it's like you say, if you enter the field of play, especially in an American football sort of field of play, you're fair game.
Listen, there's plenty of other ways that I'm not getting involved in the point about animal rights of that, but you're running on a field, disrupting the game. Fuck them.
I know. It's he had the pink flare. I seen a tweet in the morning saying that's the worst gender reveal I've ever seen. Have you ever been to a game where there's been like a pitch invader?
In NFL or just in general?
Just in general.
So I remember there's been quite a few, but one recent one that sticks out is I was at St Mirren versus Rangers last year, and a St Mirren fan ran on when St Mirren took the lead. It ended up 2-1 to Rangers, but St Mirren took the lead 3 minutes in, and this fan, a St Mirren fan, ran right across the Rangers fans, giving it large, and then ran to celebrate with St Mirren players. And one of the St Mirren players just turned around and launched him on the ground.
That's it. You enter that, you're putting your own life in your hands. But now, I was at a Scotland game once, right? I get the tickets complimentary through the work. It's not like me to get a freebie, so I'll get that out of the way before you say it, right? Right. So, obviously, being a Scotland game, and for any of our listeners outside Scotland, a lot of guys wear kilts to these games. A lot of guys are true Scotsmen, which means there's nothing under that kilt apart from what you've got. So anyway, it's one of the ones you're looking up the other end of the ground and you can see everybody looking towards the centre circle. There's this guy, he's ran on. He's on the deck in the centre circle, almost like, see the way like a cha-cha girl would lie on her back and kick her legs up and down? He's kicking the legs up and down and you can see absolutely everything. The meat and two veg, the absolute lot. But anyway, we're going off track here. We'll crack on. We'll just dive right into our start 'em, sit 'em. My first one up for starting, I'm loving Damian Harris this week for the Patriots. I know he's on a sort of snap share with Ramondre Stevenson, but he's up against the Lions who just can't stop the run game. They're number 31 against the run and they're struggling to keep the ball out the end zone. It's now been ruled that Brian Hoyer is on injured reserve as well as Matt Jones. So Bailey Zappe, quite new to the quarterback role, third choice at the Patriots. They're going to run the ball all over Detroit, I'll tell you that right now. Stands out a mile for me. He's averaged 14.9 points over his last 3 games, and this game should be no different. He's going to see a lot of the ball, and they're going to run it. So that's why Damian Harris, for me, is my first start-em this week.
My first start-em is I went with Curtis Samuel. Now, I don't usually go for anything Commanders-wise. As you said, I've been fairly critical of them. But I think looking at it, the Titans allowed the 3rd most receiving yards so far this season. They've also allowed the 5th most fantasy points. So there's a lot of points in them for him. He's also Wentz's main target. So I can see him getting a few points for you this weekend.
Thank you very much, and I hope so too. And I'm just looking, and it's a guy I spoke about Monday night. My next start, Damien Pierce, up against the Jacksonvill Jaguars. I know we've been raving about them, but they're 26th in the league against the run. Now, I fancy Pierce to have another big week. Done unbelievable last week. 131 rushing yards, 1 touchdown, 25.9 fantasy points. Looking like another big week, and that's the type of points that you want from your running backs in there. RB1, RB2 sort of level. This guy's not a flex. Damien Pierce, for me, is going to be just lock him in there for the rest of the season. I'm really liking the look of him.
My next one, this might split opinion, but I'm going to go with Russell Wilson.
Oh, I like this.
I think his last week was seen his best game so far. And I think without Devontae Williams, he's going to throw. So I think the points are there to be had for somebody that takes him as a quarterback. I can see him having a big week.
Yeah, he's getting going. And although this will come out tomorrow morning, it should prove if you're right or wrong.
I know it's a risky one, isn't it? Could be wrong even before it's out, but I'm going to put my faith in him. I think Russell Wilson is finally starting to deliver for the Broncos, and I think he'll have a big night tonight.
Yeah, so in terms of folk that might be listening, because we're streaming this at the moment, Broncos as well, it looks like Mike Boone would be quarterback to Melvin Gordon. What are you thinking of him?
Mike Boone is actually my first sit-em. Colts haven't given much away to running backs. They're allowing the 7th fewest rushing yards in the league, so I don't see him giving away. As I said, I think that Russell Wilson's going to throw a lot, find these wide receivers. So Mike Boone for me is not going to get you many points. Get him on your bench.
Hard to disagree there. I know he's been snapped up in just about every waiver wire. He's going to be back up to Melvin Gordon, probably going to get his chance, but they've also signed Latavius Murray from the Saints practice squad. So I'm fancying Latavius Murray more than Mike Boone, maybe not this week, but going forward, I'm just not buying him at all. But I'm going to go with my first sit-em as one of your guys, mate. I know you like him, but Russell Gage.
Yeah.
All right. I think we're at the stage now where we're very much dependent on who's playing around him. So
Yeah.
last week he got 4 targets, and that compared to 13 targets the week before, it's just not adding up. And when you look at who was available in week 4 compared to week 3, Chris Godwin in there, you had Mike Evans, you had Julio Jones, Rashad Perryman as well. So when your guy there's only getting 4 targets and 2 receptions against Kansas City, it's just not the sort of production you're looking for. I don't think it's going to be any different this week.
Yeah, I spoke about him on Monday. I think he'll be on my bench anyway, so I'm going to agree with you. My next sit him is Elijah Moore. He's just not. He's got the ability. He's just not producing at the moment. He's now became a sort of third in the pecking order behind Breece Hall and Tyler Conkin. So for me, he's not going to get you a lot of points just now. Again, he's going to be one of those ones that's frustrating. You're going to probably take a chance on a lot of guys like him, but he's just not doing it at this point in time.
Yeah, and the fact that Zach Wilson's questionable at the moment as well plays a part in that. So it's hard to disagree with you there, but I've left my next sit-em to a guy I seem to mention every week, right? Excuse my language here, but I'm fucking sick of him. It's personal now. Things might change with Kenny Pickett at quarterback, but Najee Harris is my next sit-em. He's been terrible so far. He's now up against the number 1 defence in the league in the Bills. He's a bell cow running back who does not seem to be able to do it. I'm just not having it anymore. I've been trying my best to shift him this week, and it's not happened. Nobody wants him. 7.4 points in his last game against the Jets. He's getting worse, all right? The next 3 games, Buffalo, Tampa Bay, Miami. This is not looking good for Najee Harris. For anyone in the league that's listening to this, I hope you skipped it, because I'm trying my best to get rid of him. He's got to go. He's doing my head in.
You're going to have to just put him in the scrap heap.
No, I can't do that, man.
I've done that way, because I've never looked back. We've not been beat since.
There's a bit of value in him yet.
I brought in a presenter and we've no lost since.
For anyone that has not listened previously, Shug brought in Emmanuel Sanders when he'd actually taken up the role of a presenter on Good Morning Football. But let's put this as a disclaimer, Shug, because I had an absolute nightmare last week with my sit-ems. I think they scored a combined total of 60 points between them. And Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Josh Jacobs. So we're not to be taken serious. If you want experts, go and listen to another podcast where guys get paid to do these things. We're not the guys. We're just like you guys that's listening. We just love fantasy football, and this is just how we see it. So
exactly.
If you fancy giving us abuse, we're right up for that, but don't be scared for us to come back at you. Anyway, let's look ahead to week 5, right? Tonight's game, Colts-Broncos. How do you see this going?
Yep, I've already kind of hinted towards it. I can see Wilson starting to hit form. I think the Broncos will get a victory tonight.
Yeah, I'm thinking the Broncos too. Although the Broncos are one of these teams, I feel, when they've played at home this season, they've not really enjoyed it. I think they've preferred to play away from home because that Broncos crowd is hostile. I just don't think they're enjoying it at all. They've got themselves to 2-2. I think Wilson's starting to get going. I feel like we've said this a few times now, but Jerry Jeudy, Courtland Sutton's his number 1 target there. Sutton has been brilliant this year and he's been a wee highlight for the Broncos. In terms of the run game, they're now Javonte Williams down, which is going to be tough, but Melvin Gordon's going to get in there. He's going to get his chance. I know I've got Mathew this week. I don't hold out much hope in terms of his fitness, but I'm willing to take the chance. The Colts, they've just not done it. They've just not done it for me this year. They look almost like the whipping boys when I expected so much more. When you've got a guy like Jonathan Taylor at running back and Michael Pittman out wide, I expected so much more, but nah, I'm all over the Broncos. Yeah. But anyway, we're going to kick off Sunday at 2:30 from the NFL UK London game, and I cannot wait. I said it on Monday. New York Giants against the Green Bay Packers. What a good traditional game to bring to London. 2 huge teams, 2 Super Bowl winners, and I got my stat wrong on Monday. This game is the first game where 2 teams with a winning record have played against each other in London. It's also the first game that the Packers have played. In terms of fantasy-wise, it's hard to predict. I'd love to say the Giants are going to win it. The Packers are starting to sturn the screw a wee bit. Romeo Doubs is looking brilliant for the Packers. He's another one. He was close to being one of my startums, but I think that's a wee bit common knowledge at the moment. You've got to be playing Romeo Doubs. In terms of the Giants, we've got our own injury worries, but Saquon Barkley is the man right now. I'm taking the Giants for this one.
I would love to agree with you, but I don't see it. I don't think there'll be much in it. I really hope the Giants do it. I'm not a fan of the Packers, but I think with the injury worries with the Giants, I think the Packers could be too strong.
Yeah, I'm going to contradict myself a wee bit here because the Giants are the number one defence against the wide receiver. So Romeo Doubs, although I say start him, he's going to score points, but maybe not on the scale to be expected. We've just signed Landon Collins again, so I think he'll go straight back into defence, who's another very good signing. So we'll see how that goes. Anyway, next up, I've touched on it with Najee Harris already. The Steelers going to the Bills. I think this one's pretty predictable, Shug.
Aye, I'm not going to even... I know I've said this before and it's stung us, but there'll be nothing other than a Bills win. It's 100% stick your money on it. Bills will stroll that.
Yeah, the Bills, if you've got any Bills offensive players, they're straight in that team. The Steelers, for me, I honestly can't believe how far they've fallen. They're terrible. They look awful. That O-line's terrible. Kenny Pickett now coming in for his debut in the NFL, well, starting debut. Trubisky just looked terrible. Najee Harris has looked terrible. Even Deontay Johnson, the guy that you can really depend on in fantasy, even him, it's hard to say that he's been playing lights out, but we'll not dwell on it too long. That's an easy one. Bills all day. Chargers going to the Browns. 2-2 against 2-2. What are you thinking?
This was a close one. This was a toss of coin for me. I think the Browns have showed it in flashes this season of what they've got. Really struggle to see out games sometimes. For that reason, I'm going to go with the Chargers. I think I've just got a feeling they'll sneak it, but I don't think there'll be much in it.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. The Chargers, they've got all Eckler starting to get going.
Yeah.
Herbert playing through an injury, but I expect him to play well. I know Keenan Allen looks like he's going to be out again, which is good news for you considering the trade we've done for Mike Williams. So he's going to be the main target there. Thought it would be Joshua Palmer. It's not been really his time. But no, I'm still fancying the Chargers for that one. Browns, again, sneaky good, but I'm fancying the Chargers. Next up, Texans at the Jaguars. Now, I know we spoke about Damien Pierce. The Texans haven't won a game yet. The Jaguars have looked brilliant, absolutely brilliant the last two games. So I'm taking the Jaguars for this one. Straightforward for me.
Yeah, can't really argue with that one. Can't see the Texans laying a glove on them.
Nah, not at all. No. Try to think anyone fantasy relevant in there. Still loving James Robinson. I think he's sitting at RB3 at the moment. For anyone that took the chance on him when everybody said Travis Etienne, fair play. But next one up, the Bears are at the Vikings. Now, Troy's Vikings seem to be on a wee run. They seem to be getting going here. Justin Jefferson's been excellent. Thielens turned up again. Kirk Cousins, is he staying on your bench this week?
Yeah, it's a really tough one for me. I think the Vikings will win this one, but I'm really torn between Cousins is right now looking at the kind of the projected points he's in my starting team, but I'm swirling between him and Goff. To be honest with you, I can't really leave Goff out after the points he got me last week, but I think Cousins is going to have a decent day against the Bears, so it's a tough call I've got in there.
Yeah, it was a bit of a masterpiece from Jared Van Gough last week.
Oh.
It took us long enough.
It was to me.
I know. Nah, I'm not really impressed with the Bears at all, especially with David Montgomery out. I'm going to go to Vikings as well. They're starting to look good. Vikings will go 4-1 and the Bears will go 2-3. Sorry about that, Bobby, but game we just touched on there. Jared Goff against the Patriots. The Patriots really struggling. Bailey Zappe at quarterback for them. I've already said that I really love the look of Damian Harris at running back, sharing that with Ramondre Stevenson. So start any of the two of them. I just prefer Damian Harris a wee bit. But both teams 1-3, and I think it's got all the makings of another high-scoring blockbuster here. The Lions just can't really defend that well, and the Patriots are struggling on offense. They're going to run the ball all day. Yeah, I'm going for a blockbuster here, but I'm going to go to the Lions.
Yeah, I'm the same. Put the Pats, the quarterback issues they've got. As you said, Lions pretty, to sum them up, one of the best offences this season, or the highest scoring offence this season, but as you said, one of the worst defences. So yeah, probably high scoring, but I think I've got to agree with you. I think the Lions will win this one.
Yeah, so what about your Dolphins? Do you think they're beating the Jets this week?
Yes, 100%.
Yes.
I think it's a very tough one for them because of obviously Tua. It's going to be a difficult one for them, but I think Bridgewater, I think he'll have enough to overcome the Jets. I think the Dolphins have started the season really strongly, even though with the injury problem with Tua, they still were quite unlucky, I thought, against the Bengals. So I think they've got more than enough in that team. I think Tyreek Hill's going to have a decent day, the Waddler as well. So I'm going to go with the Dolphins to beat the Jets.
Yeah, Waddle trained today, which is a good sign for the Dolphins. I think they need everything they can get. They've started well, they're 3-1. Yeah, I'm liking everything about them. Tua's not going to be played, so it's going to be an interesting game to see how they get on. I think there is a lot of interest in this game, considering that if Zach Wilson plays or not, Tua's definitely out. Both teams quite entertaining, quite young teams as well. So I'm looking forward to this one, but this is one of the live games on Sky as well at 6 p.m.
As you said, we find out a lot about the Dolphins here, how they cope with sort of adversity. And now I think what could help is the fact that, the Bengals game, they lost to during the game. This one, they've actually had the full week to prepare with Bridgewater. Now, I don't think Bridgewater is the answer, but I think he's serviceable for a game like this.
Yeah, he is. He's experienced. He'll step in, he'll do well. But Buccaneers up against the Falcons, mate, the Buccaneers, they're still a strong team. I know the Falcons are 2-2, they've looked all right. Cordero Patterson now on IR. Drake London maybe struggling a wee bit. It's going to be a very tough game for the Falcons, especially going to Tampa Bay. Tom Brady has been in the news as well. So I don't know how will that fare into his football?
No, I don't think so. I think last week, I think he looked really good last week. I think he'll have known the issues that he's been having personally. We're going to come into the news a bit this week. So I think he's that type of guy that just silences all the noise with another big performance. So I think the Bucs, again, as you said, Cordell Patterson is a big miss for the Falcons. I'm going to go with the Bucs.
And in terms of Tom Brady in fantasy, if he's on my roster, he's on the bench. I'm holding on to him. I'm not dropping him completely, but he's just not done enough in the passing game. Well, saying that, he had a good game he had a good late game on Sunday night. I take that back slightly, but I'm still not convinced by him. Leonard Fournette, he's starting to get going. I'm liking him at running back. I think folk will still be starting him. I don't think there's much doubt there. I know he's had one touchdown for the season so far, but I'm still liking Fournette there. Mike Evans, still the number one man in the red zone. So, yeah, I'm loving the Bucs in that one. But you said earlier you're loving Curtis Samuel. Do you expect him to have a big game against the Titans?
I think he'll put up some decent points, but I do think the Titans will still get the victory. One key player, man in that Titans team, I think will be Derrick Henry. But as I said, I think the Titans will have more than enough to beat them. I think it could be a decent game, to be fair. Quite an exciting, high-scoring one, but I think the Titans will come out on top.
I think so too, although I do think it'll be one of these games, it's a tight game. I traded away Robert Woods a couple of weeks ago, and he's starting to become a viable target in that Titans offence. I don't know how many waivers he's sitting on or if anyone's got them on their bench, but he might be a sneaky trade target to get into your team because he is starting to see some targets there. In terms of the Commanders, you just can't really trust Wentz. I know I like Curtis Samuel, but one thing I will say for this, I'm not praising myself here. I'm going to put this out to all the listeners who stashed Brian Robinson. He should be back this weekend, and I expect him to be on a snap share, but we've been looking forward to this week. We knew he would sort of be back week 5 when the news broke, and fair play to him, 2 gunshot wounds and he's back in there. That's ridiculous. That's not something we really hear about in Britain, that you see sports stars coming back for 2 gunshot wounds, but yeah, fair play. I'm looking forward to seeing him in there. I hope Curtis Samuel has a big game like you've predicted, but if it's anything like my predictions the past couple of weeks, then I'm not doing very well. But another team that I'm not quite sure about, the Panthers, they're at home to the 49ers, and the 49ers is hard to second guess. We all went with the Rams on Monday and the 49ers pulled it out the bag. A lot of injuries there in terms of Trey Lance, Elijah Mitchell. But nah, I'm still loving Brandon Ayuk. I'm still loving Deebo Samuel there. It's hard for me to see past the 49ers against the Panthers. The Panthers look terrible.
Aye, I've got to agree with you. The only man I hope brings it is CMC. Got him in my team, so got to hope that he has a big day.
I can't believe it's Thursday and he's not been announced on the injury report yet.
I know I'm usually sweating over him, but again, as you said, 49ers, they are a bit unpredictable at the moment, but I do think we've all said we liked them at the start of the season, and even with a few injuries, I still think they are going to be decent.
Yeah, anyone you like in this game fantasy wise?
Deebo Samuel's the main one, and obviously CMC from my end. Nobody else really that I'm kind of towards. There's nobody really else that I've got in there. Those are the main ones, I would say.
I know. The next game, there's just so many fantasy relevant players, and these are the type of games you like to watch when you're deep into your fantasy football. The Eagles at the Cardinals. Absolutely everybody will have Jalen Hurts, will have Kyler Murray, and then you start to look at Devonta Smith, AJ Brown. These guys have been brilliant this year. Marquise Brown as well. I don't know if he's still questionable or not, but a lot of fantasy relevance across this game. The Eagles are 4-0. Cardinals can be sneaky good on their day. I'm still fancying the Eagles to go 5-0 here, as much as it gives us a dent to our division. I'm talking about the New York Giants here. I still fancy the Eagles to go 5-0. They've looked excellent this year.
Yeah, hard to argue with that. I mean, the Cardinals can pull up a surprise, as you said. They can produce, but just very, very impressed with the Eagles right now. And I think they'll get that defeat at some point. The bubble might burst at some point, but I don't think it's going to be this weekend. I think they've been so impressive, and I think they get another victory.
I know, the funny thing about the Eagles, and I didn't even mention them there, and it kind of comes into the bracket of James Robinson, where nobody seemed to mention him at the start of the season, but Miles Sanders has been brilliant at running back for the Eagles. He's starting to really get going. A couple of touchdowns last week, and yeah, playing alongside Jalen Hurts, it's a good ploy. The two of them seem to have worked very well, but when we're talking there about folk not really producing in terms of the Cardinals, another guy we've touched on that hasn't been producing is Mathew Stafford for the LA Rams. They're at home to the Cowboys, and if you've got Stafford on your team, just don't dare start him. Even this game, the Cowboys are excellent. You've got a guy like Mathew Stafford. There's no way he's going to be throwing that ball a lot when guys like Trayvon Diggs is in that Cowboys team. Yeah. Fancy the Cowboys to go 4-1. The Rams just seem to not be able to get out of this rut. In terms of the Cowboys, CeeDee Lamb looks brilliant. Gallup getting a touchdown as well. The Cowboys, yeah, they're looking good, especially still not without that Cooper Rush. Who would have thought? He's, for the games he started for the Cowboys, I think he's broke a record. I think he's the first guy in the Cowboys franchise history to start 4 games and win all of them. So that stat could be wrong, but like I said earlier in the show, we're not here to be taken seriously.
I just make up stats.
I will make up stats. Ezekiel Elliott is the first guy to run round the moon.
I'm going to go the opposite. I'm going to go Stafford to shut you up, and I'm going to go the Rams to get it right round Martin's Cowboys.
I love that. I just really wish that Stafford would realise he's got Allen Robinson in the team.
Yeah.
Oh man, we raved about him. Everybody seemed to rave about him before this season started, and he's been non-existent. Cooper Kupp, he seems to rely heavily on it. It reminds me a wee bit of Mahomes with Hill in his team. I know the two of them work very well in tandem, but sometimes can be a wee bit predictable. The Rams' run game, terrible as usual. Darrell Henderson, Cam Akers, they're just no-shows.
I don't be started on that guy.
I know.
I hope they get beat.
Cam Akers to you is how Najee is to me. That's how I'm feeling about it. But no, the late game on Sunday, Ravens against the Bengals, and once again, like I said about the Eagles-Cardinals, this has got so many fantasy-relevant players in it. There's so much intrigue, but who are you fancying?
I'm really looking forward to watching that one, although the chances of me being awake for it are 0. So I'll be watching the highlights in the morning. It's a very, very tough one to call. I was looking at this earlier, and the Bengals seem to be showing a wee bit of what they're capable of. In recent times, I thought against the Dolphins, they really kind of showed that we're getting back to what they had last season. But I'm going to put the Ravens just to tip them.
Yeah, I'm fancying the Ravens here. I'm looking forward to seeing Lamar getting going again. My team's been relying heavily on Lamar. Love him, absolutely love him. But last week it wasn't good enough. So if you're listening, get the finger out, please. I really need it this week. But I'm going to agree. Ravens again. Bengals, put them in the same bracket as the Rams, the 2 Super Bowl teams from last year. They've really not done it yet, which is a shame because they're exciting to watch. But there's fantasy all over this park. In terms of the Bengals, I'm not sure if T. Higgins is back yet, but I'm still looking at Burrows to have a big game here. I really hope Mixon has a big game. Once again, he's out the running backs are drafted. He's probably been of the better side of my running backs, so it'd be good to see him getting going. He scored 17 points for me last week. In terms of the Ravens, they've got loads of options there. Devin Duvernay's been brilliant. Yeah, J.K. Dobbins back at running back, full participant in training today, so it looks like he's going to start at running back for the Ravens. I like him to have a big game here as well. So yeah, game's full of excitement. I'm really looking forward to this one. Last game of week 5, the Raiders are away to Arrowhead against the Chiefs. It's hard to see past the Chiefs in this one, Shug.
Aye, I'm in agreement. I think the Raiders is one we keep talking about when they're going to sort of hit form. Davante Adams, you're expecting big things out of him, but again, can't see past the Chiefs. They really impressed at the start, then they went a wee bit off the boil. Last week, they just looked sensational. Patrick Mahomes just looked brilliant, didn't he? And it looks as if now they're sort of really getting settled in with their new offense, and there's so many weapons in there, so I can't see past the Chiefs' victory.
Yeah, Juju for me in this one. I've got him in my team. I'm still not completely sold on him. I know he's getting me a sort of solid 10 points each week, but I expect a wide receiver when he's playing with Patrick Mahomes to score so much more. I don't know if he's carrying an injury or not. I'm not so sure. In terms of the Raiders, apart from Davante Adams, and I'm going to say it, Josh Jacobs, there's not many guys in that team I'd be starting against the Chiefs. I'm going to Chiefs for this one. Easy peasy.
Yeah, all day.
I know. And I think this wraps things up for the week 5 results. But who are you up against this week in the league?
I've got a big derby. I've got Toasty.
Oh, I like this one.
That'll be tasty, so I'm looking forward to it. But there might be some last minute wheeling and dealing done.
Come into my office, the door's always open.
Nothing in the pipeline, but I could be throwing a few bones.
I like it. And this week I'm up against Johnny. Now, Johnny in our league is that guy who just sets his team, plays the game, doesn't trade with anybody, doesn't pick MD up off waivers if he really needs to, but he seems to pick up wins. Maybe we're doing something wrong, but we do love a trade.
I know, that makes it exciting. So Johnny drafts really well. Johnny always has a solid team to start with, and he just doesn't change it at all.
Yeah.
And he always does all right. He feels if he did maybe get a couple of trades, he could put himself he could go on and challenge to win it. But he just doesn't seem to give that much of a shit when the league starts.
I know. And he's got my guy, Saquon Barkley. He's not for giving him up either.
Aye, you knocked that door a few times.
I have. It doesn't even answer. It's almost like nobody's in. It's like my house at Halloween, all the lights are off and I'm hiding under the kitchen table so nobody...
I can't give you any sympathy because you had 2 or 3 times till you could have picked him up. Spoke about him and you didn't take him. Listen,
if I could practice what I preach, it'd be a different story, but it's my biggest regret in the draft this year and I'm getting what I deserve. So... that's just how the cookie crumbles. But anyway, I'll not keep you any longer. I see your eyes are shutting there. You're an early bed man.
It's bedtime for me.
I know. So, yeah. Thanks again, as ever, Shug. If you've lasted this long to listen, please subscribe, please follow, please like us. We're on YouTube as well. Get over there and get a look at what we do on a Monday night. But, Shug, thank you very much. Good luck in week 5.
Thanks for having me. Good luck to you too.
Thank you very much. And thank you everyone for listening. Goodbye.